This call is being recorded.
Good Monday morning, everybody. This is Tammy Nichols, and you are on our Business Builder call this morning, and we are so excited. We just wrapped up an incredible November 2 weeks ago, and I got to tell you, December is looking just as beautiful as November was. People are still buying wine and still booking tastings, and I can see tasting calendars, and they are big and full and beautiful. So we want to continue with that. This morning, I just really wanted to hear from Margie this morning. You know, she always is such an incredible trainer. And I asked her this week, I'm like, can we hear from you Monday morning? Because I just needed a little Margie. I think we all get like that sometimes. So she's always so powerful and an incredible leader in the Chicago area. So Margie, I'm going to turn this over to you because I want every second that we can have with you to be with you this morning. So it's all yours.
Thank you so much, and I love that. We all need a little Margie, and I'm looking to see what happened to my Uber, so in case I see any, there we go. Okay, you guys, so happy December 16th. I feel like every year, as this is my 8th Christmas selling season with Wine Shop at Home, and I got to tell you guys, I put a lot of my own best self into my holiday selling season just because I know it's such a lucrative time for us, and I do as many tastings as I can, and I try to get outside orders and corporate orders. And for those of you who are new, I want you to really understand that some of the magic of this business is sticking with it, because I can tell you some of the seasoned consultants can kind of agree with me that each Christmas for me just gets better and better and better, because I have repeat corporate clients, I have the joy bottles, I have, things people are looking for me from now that when I was new, I didn't necessarily have that credibility or that client base. So, however, I feel like when I get to this time of year, I am ready to hang up my wine bag, focus on my own family for the holidays, and be done. I have one more tasting myself, but for a lot of us, we're about to really chill out, not have too much more going on this month. And it is really easy to want to hang up your wine bag and take a vacation. And before you know it, it's going to be the new year. And for a lot of us, we're going to be not only hanging up our wine bag, but as soon as the new year comes around, hopping on a vacation together. That is pretty long. So I was just looking at my own calendar. As soon as I have my last tasting this Thursday, my next tasting is not until, I think, January 18th or 19th. I mean, something crazy, maybe the 20th. So that is a lot of time off. And that is where this business, you can fall into the trap of forgetting about your business. And sometimes in this business model, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, especially if you decide not to focus on your business anymore. So I just put together a little tip of 5 tips to make sure you don't get into that mindset where you take your foot off the pedal just because you might be slow on tastings for the next few weeks, and you come back in January to an empty calendar and no business at all, and you've got to get started again. And if you're brand new, you probably don't even recognize the seasonality of this, and you don't even really understand that in January, February, March, it can be a bit of a reset. So as always, you need to keep your eye on the ball. So here are my 5 tips to make sure you keep your business going over the holiday season. I'll talk about getting January bookings, but for those of us who already have bookings on our calendar in January and February, my motto to you is hostess coach, rinse, repeat, and hostess coach again. We do not talk about hostess coaching enough in this business. I got to tell you, I don't know why, but even after 7 years, it is my least favorite task. It's something I always put off when I know I should be doing it. But now more than ever, you have got to make sure your hostesses in January. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
It was so weird. All of a sudden, it just said, Margie, you've been muted. And I'm like, huh? Like, I'm sitting here, talking. So hostess coach. I wish we had sometimes called hostess coaching or host coaching, hostess babysitting, out of sight, out of mind. And I promise you, you're thinking about these tastings way more than your future hostess. So as we enter the holidays, make sure you are keeping in touch with your hostesses, not just once, but all through the holiday season. Some suggestions are make sure they have a save the date. A lot of us use Canva, or there's a million, I use Canva, but there's a million apps these days where you can put text on photos that they're texting out to their friends. Maybe send them a holiday card in the mail or a thank you note in the mail, telling them you cannot wait, you're looking forward to their January tasting. Remind them of the Artisan 5 special. I know a lot of my hostesses didn't even realize that was the special when they booked with me, so get them excited about that now. And don't forget the terminology that we just learned from Ms. Truck. Your tastings max out at $1,000 in sales and 5 bookings, and it's my job to get you as many credits as possible. So start doing that now, and I would suggest you might double down a little bit on your hostess coaching as we soar through the holidays. Number 2, it is not too late to get January bookings or even last-minute bookings for the holidays. You heard me say I have a tasting this Thursday. Honestly, you guys, that tasting was booked last Wednesday. I couldn't believe that I got a last-minute tasting so close to the holidays. So don't believe that everybody is super busy. There are a lot of people who are looking at the holidays, yearning to get together with people, and they might not have made the plans that they think they would have. So maybe challenge yourself to get 1 or 2 bookings over the holiday break, because that will help you feed into January. Here are some ideas of people that might book over the holidays. So maybe offices that are slow over the holiday season and haven't planned a Christmas party. People who work non-traditional jobs, like I have a group of realtors that sell homes, model homes, so they're usually a little bit slower over the holidays, and they'll do daytime tastings. Nurses who work overnights. I have a group of nurses that like to do daytime tastings because they work overnights. People who have people visiting out of town. I have done this, I think, every holiday, and I'm actually going to try to start working on getting one of these, where you talk to, you market yourself as, hey, you have some people visiting from out of town. If we went out of town, it would be no big deal to run out to a winery and go tour a winery and do a wine tasting as something fun. I've done tastings over the break for people where I go in and I do a tasting just for them and their families and their out-of-town guests. They don't have to leave the comfort of their living rooms, and they get the same experience. Look for those daytime tastings, like I said, because people will be off of work. So maybe market a pajama tasting, or a mimosa, or a brunch, or a ladies who lunch type of tasting. You can get those over the holiday break as well. Maybe a New Year's Eve tasting. Now, I want to preface this with never in a million years would I suggest you give up your New Year's Eve with your family and go do a wine tasting, especially because we are in this to make money, not just to be a free bartender. However, maybe you want to do a noontime tasting or something in the afternoon or something in the early evening, something so you're home as well. But once again, not everybody has these big New Year's Eve plans. So maybe you bring the New Year's to somebody. You could do a countdown at noon tasting. Another good last minute tasting that you can book over the break would be teachers. I like to keep a little separate list of people I meet at tastings who are educators. When I check them out, if they tell me they're a teacher and I can't get them to book, I'll always say something like, oh, can I keep you on my teacher list? I love to follow up with my teachers over the break. I love to follow up with my teachers in the summer or on those days off, because they might be more likely to do a wine tasting when their job slows down a little bit. I'm not sure if Megan Burton is on this call, but a great example for a January tasting is she has a group of teachers that she does a tasting for every Martin Luther King Day. So they've been coming to her for 3 years in a row, and they do a tasting on that Monday off because they're off. January tastings, of course, push that artisan special. Use that to your advantage. Get as many January's bookings as you can, because we're going to be rolling into a new trip qualification period, and it would be great to walk into February with all kinds of bookings. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming, keep your eye on the ball. In February, we're going to be probably looking at some kind of double point situation. So use that Artisan 5 special to your advantage. And then I just heard this tip from Kate Truck. I try to give benefits where benefits are due, because you guys, honestly, I am not any super smart, extra wonderful wine consultant. I just listen to everybody else and pick up the best tips I can to do my own business. So I was talking to Kate the other day, and she's marketing the Artisan 5 wine tasting as, hey, why don't you pick up an extra red hostess? And, you know, when I sell those add-on kits, I always tell them, you can serve this red, you can serve that extra bottle to your customers, or you can keep it for yourself. So try to get them to book in January, get them to do an add-on pack, and then tell them they could keep the Artisan 5 as an incentive. You don't necessarily, I don't know if I should say that on a recorded call, but you don't necessarily have to serve that thing at wine tastings. So get them to buy some add-on packs, okay? Tip number 3, clean your desk and clean out your wine bag. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, you know, there's a saying that nobody ever organized their way to their top, and I am a clear example of that. You should see my desk. Maybe I'll even put a picture of it on Monday Night Crew page, because you guys would be horrified. I have interest forms everywhere. I have papers everywhere. When you do 7 tastings in 8 days, you don't necessarily, at least me, I'm sure some of you are more organized than me, but I don't necessarily keep track of all my papers as well as I should. So clean up your desk, clean out your wine bag, do what you can to get your files in order. And as you're going through your files, just do a simple check-in with people and a simple thank you for your business. So that's kind of tip 3.5. That's kind of 2 tips in one. You know, you don't always have to reach out to people to sell them something. Sometimes it's just nice to reach out and say thank you for your business. And if you're reaching out to your past hostesses, you might even say something. I had a consultant who did this once, and I thought it was really cool. She reached out to them to say thank you for your business in this time of year, and she gave them a rebooking special. It was a hostess only rebooking special that if they committed to a tasting, you know, put parameters around it in the month of January, or by January 15th, or, you know, if you're looking to fill certain days, you know, you do what works for you for your business. That's the beauty of what being your own contractor is. But she did a hostess only rebooking special and offered, you know, cheeses or chocolates or a special appetizer or whatever you want to offer, as she was saying thank you, and she had a lot of hosts take her up on that. Once again, I'm going to refer you to some of the great marketing visuals in our back office. The consumer is becoming more and more and more visual and less word-oriented, so I love to grab those visuals when I'm booking, put my open dates on them with Canva or any other app that you can put text on top of photos, and shoot that out via text. I feel like when I send a text, if I attach a visual, I have a lot more luck with that. Maybe I'm the only one. And the other thing I would suggest is if you're sending long texts, break them up. Do 2 sentences and then a new text. 2 sentences and then a new text, because not every phone talks to each other the same way. So there's nothing I can't stand more than when I get a long text from somebody and it's like a puzzle. Am I the only one this happens to, where I don't know where it begins and ends because it comes over in like 5 or 6 pieces? So think about that if you're texting and saying thank you. My number 4 tip, and I'm sure Tammy will be advertising this on December 26th, but every year Lynn Conway does a Golden Week call. I will never forget the first time I learned about this, Tammy, was my very first year in the business. And I honestly still listen to that call, even though I know exactly what it's going to say. And Lynn Conway's been doing it for like 26 years. In a nutshell, that week before Christmas and New Year's, psychologically, is a very, 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 very important week to keep contacting your clients. Lynn does a much better job explaining this than me, but the reality is when you come off of Christmas, there is a tiny little letdown. You know, I think we've all experienced, it's like kind of coming home from a vacation, or coming home from convention, or or, you know, there's a lot of different parallels, but there's no doubt that right after Christmas, all this hustle and bustle and parties, it's kind of like, oh, wow, I really have nothing to look forward to. So we want to tap into that and show our clients that we're here not only to help them still draw their friends near and dear with wine tastings, but we also have the business opportunity. You know, people are going to be waking up after Christmas to a lot of debt. So do not lose focus on inviting. Do not lose focus on, this is also tip 4.5, so I apologize that I'm kind of wandering in my speech, but hey, what else is new? People are going to be waking up and they're going to be looking at their credit card debt, so recruiting is important. And as far as we know, this is the last month of the holiday wine gig. So kit, so market that. Hey, you know what? You've been on the fence. You're thinking about joining my business. This is the last month to get the holiday wine gig, and get, you know, your wine club very affordably. So sign up before December 31st. So don't stop recruiting over the break. And finally, my last tip is you have to touch your business every day, you guys. I find for me personally, it's like the more time I take off, the harder it is for me to get back into it. So even if you have family around or your kids are home from school like mine, and, you know, I definitely want to go take advantage of some of the fun things in Chicago to do, go downtown, see movies, visit with family, whatever it might be, you absolutely have to commit to touching your business every day, even if it's just for 15 minutes or half an hour, because I feel like for every day I take off, it takes me 2 days to get back on track. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? I mean, when you're going to the gym consistently, it's not a big deal. But when you stop, you know, I just had some stitches on my back for some dermatology work done. And, you know, the human condition is so funny because I've been great about going to the gym. So I go to get these stitches and they say to me, okay, well, you need to take a break from the gym. You need to take a break from the gym. And, you know, I don't even know where I went with this, but I went, you know, my break has turned into a 3-4 week break, and I'm fighting to get back and fighting to be consistent again. But it's just so funny how just that permission to take a break set me back, and it's taking me longer to get back into that gym routine than it really should. And your wine business can be the same. So look at your holiday calendar. If you have to wake up 15 minutes early to send out texts or emails, or you're going to do it over lunch, or do it on the train as you go into the city to celebrate stuff, whatever it might be, don't take your eye off the prize. So hopefully that was somewhat coherent, Tammy, and that's everything I have for you. Everybody's talking about their messy deaths. Sandy Hancock says she does the same for her hosts. Says, you know, buy an add-on and use Artisan 5 for yourself. And we're all talking about the Golden Week call too.
Yes. And of course, I'll be leading a call on the 26th as well, which I've done for the past 13 years. I listen to Lynn. In fact, Lynn started this call, the Golden Week call, actually 13 years ago. I was on it, and then I've led it since then for our team. So I've done it for the past 12 years, and we'll be doing the same thing on the 12th. So whatever time works best for you, I'll be leading it, and Lynn will lead it as well. So whatever time works best for you, please hop on one of those calls, because it is a great call and a great reminder every week, every year. So great call, Margie. Thank you so much. And it's so funny. When you said that about the gym, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the same situation. I had to take a couple of days off, and for the same reason as you, and it's so hard to get back on. And
it's so weird, isn't it? And it's like, you know, once you get, you know, I always compare it to the gym because I think we can all relate to that. And yes. I know once I get back in the skip of it, it's not hard, yes. But it's like, like getting that momentum going is just, for all of us, it's challenging.
And it's key to success. So, you know, for our bodies or our business, whichever one we're working on. So hopefully we can keep both going at the same time. But fantastic call. And are there any questions that you can see, Margie, or mostly just the comments on on the
Just
call.
comments,
Okay.
great reminders, getting ready for January. Allison's got a great
Yes.
point here. So goes January, so goes your year. So.
Yes, exactly. And I want to say this, guys. I had a tasting on Saturday, and I think it was my third one that I had last week. And Saturday's host, it was at 3:00. She was doing an open house, and she only had 2 couples that RSVP'd. So between she and her husband and the 2 couples, there were going to be 6 people. One other person showed up, so there were a total of 7 people. And I said, that is perfectly fine. I love small groups. Let's do it. We're going to have a ball. And because she was asking if I wanted to reschedule. And so obviously we decided not to. We had a ball. Every couple bought a case of wine, and she's booking another tasting in January because I shared with her the information about the Artisan Five. So she's like, okay, I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to invite my other neighbors that she didn't invite to this tasting. So again, just because you only get 2 or 3 RSVPs doesn't mean you can't have a great tasting, especially this time of year because there's a lot of activity going on. So
Well,
I just
I've
wanted
got
to.
another tip. I can't even believe I forgot. Sorry to interrupt you, Tammy. But don't stop selling either. We have sparkling to offer for New Year's Eve. We have wine club. You don't need a physical product to give to somebody the gift of wine club. So keep pushing, because once back to the organization thing, you guys might all be on top of it, but I know I have quite a few gifts to still get my hands on. And, especially people who give corporate gifts, people who are in sales. Traditionally, people who are in sales, we're not the most organized people in the world. So there's a lot of people out there with last-minute needs.
Absolutely. So, okay, guys. Well, have a fantastic day. Remember tonight, I'm very excited about this call tonight. Heather Barr and Loretta Jamal are going to be leading our call tonight on Monday Night Live, and so it's just going to be great to hear some fresh voices and some fresh comments and just some great tips to help us do even more this week. So they're going to give us some great tips that we can implement right away. Thank you, Margie. Everybody have a fantastic Monday, and we'll see you tonight on Monday Night Live. Bye-bye.